No. Come on, where is it?
Dave, it's your Idaho Central app here. Any chance you're missing a debit card? Let's get that taken care of for you. With ICCU's card control, you can turn any card off with the tap of your finger.
You got it.
And back on again. Out, 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 out. The closest Idaho Central Credit Union branch is in your pocket.
Pow day.
Dude, let's go.
This is Bronco Nation News Live. The best interviews, the most informed opinions, the latest breaking news, all from the top Boise State insiders. Bronco Nation News Live from BroncoNationNews.com is presented by RowPaint.com, the official paint and coatings company of Boise State Athletics. All Bronco Nation news broadcasts come from the Western Collective Studios. Head down to Western Collective's locations in Garden City or downtown Boise to try some of their delicious beers, including the Horseshoe Golden Ale, the first beer to support an NIL collective. Now, here's four-time NSMA Idaho Sports Writer of the Year, BJ Rains, with another edition of Bronco Nation News Live.
Hey, how we doing, Bronco Nation? Welcome on into a live edition of Bronco Nation News Live here at BroncoNationNews.com. It is Monday, and no, that is Mike Prater's never looked so good on a Monday here as we have the great Brad Bedell joining us on a Monday. Brad, we got a lot going on. Mike Prater's on vacation. I almost didn't even have a show today, but at the last minute, you were available to pop on for a little bit, so I know you're working and busy as well, but appreciate you as always. And how are we doing, sir?
How are you?
I'm doing good. I am, like I said, a lot going on, moving pieces behind the scenes, and saw the report of Texas State being a heavy favorite to join the Pac-12 and thought, you know what, we probably need to at least jump on for a little while and discuss here. And so, like I said, I know I'm catching you on a different day and asked you literally 10 minutes ago, could you pop on for a little bit? So appreciate you for popping on. And I know we talked last Wednesday about Texas State. I'm not super excited about them, but I'm going to have to come around on this, I guess, because the ESPN report says they are the, quote, heavy favorite to be issued a formal Pac-12 invitation, says the league is still engaged with other schools per sources, but Texas State has clearly emerged as the forefront of that group. So I don't know if this is a ploy to leak this, to try to get Memphis or another team, to lower their offer, to change their mind. I don't know if this is, true that Texas State is likely going to join the Pac-12 or what, but what's your take on the report yesterday that it looks like Texas State right now, the, quote, heavy favorite per Pete Thamel of ESPN to eventually join the Pac-12 here?
I mean, when we talked about it last Wednesday, I thought they were going to be the ones in. I mean, it's the school that makes the most sense with the geographically, the possible television market, the amount of sports that can go in. So it doesn't surprise me. I don't think it's horrible. I like the fact that he followed it up and said Memphis is still in play. I mean, I don't know if he's just trying to do that for clicks. and keep people like trying to talk about this whole thing. Do I think Texas State puts a splash on it? No, but I think Texas State's a competitive football team that conference needed a team in the state of Texas. And it's better than Rice. Somebody put out Rice. I'm like, if Rice goes in, I may not watch a game.
Yeah,
that's horrible. I mean, that's the worst. That they condemn their stadium, I think, for crying out loud. So let's not. I think it's not horrible. It's not Memphis, but I'll take it.
And yeah, I mean, someone on here says, would you rather have Nevada or Texas State? And Blake says Nevada is getting a new basketball arena at least. Like, I know I made it clear, I wasn't a huge fan of any of these Texas schools, but I mean, I'm kind of there. Like, I mean, I don't know. What's your first thought when you say, would you rather have Nevada or I mean, they at least have I know everyone wants to rip on Nevada, Reno. I get it. Like, that's fine. But Boise State at least has some history with them. They're at least drivable. It's a rival.
I don't care. I mean, that doesn't mean – see, this is my issue with this whole thing. Okay, look at what the Pac-12 is going into. Washington State, we know this. Washington State, Oregon State, and Boise State I should go Boise State, Oregon State, Washington State. Those are the prime three. Boise State's the prime school in the conference. Okay, other than that, it's the Mountain West Conference. So remember when Boise State fans don't take this the wrong way. But everybody was complaining, saying it's lethargic. We see the same teams in the stadium every year, year in, year out, and all this. Now, all of a sudden, you're going to get some new blood. I mean, that's the nice thing about this is now you're going to have Boise State, Washington State, Oregon State, Texas State. At least that's new blood consistently, right? Washington State or Oregon State's going to have to come in. I know they've played like every other year in the past. But what I would, if we're going to bring up anything, bring up UNLV. At least they're the most competitive team to bring in to help the conference in bass. I don't know much about basketball. We've talked about it, but in football,
would you you'd have to take both of them though, with the state legislature and all that. Would you take the package deal if you got UNLV to take Nevada? Because you need to. If
you needed to, I guess, yeah. But I want new blood. I want something else.
I get it, but I mean, are you really are just from, and I know maybe you don't have I know you coach here, Brad, but you don't have the ties as maybe the fans do and the history here in Boise. I know you live here, but I mean, if you're a fan, do you get more excited about Texas State coming to the Blue or Nevada? Probably Nevada right now. And I'm not even.
No, I don't know. No, not competitively.
No, that's what I'm saying. I just think the rivalry and the famous game with Kaepernick and the 4-0.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, there's a lot of.
Understand that.
I'm just feeling it, but there were people. I mean, there's people out there that just literally. I mean, there's a hatred for Nevada. They're a rival to a lot of these former players and a lot of these fans. I mean, they've played, several years in a row in different conferences and things like that. And so, if you want to say who's got a chance 5 years from now to be the better football team, or who's got more money in their athletic department, and from a business perspective, who makes the best sense, most of the arguments are probably for Texas State. But if you're a 30, 40-year-old diehard Boise State fan, you'd much rather them play Nevada every year than Texas State.
I would agree with you there, but we're not talking about what's good for the game. We're talking about what's good for money. This is nothing about the game. It's like the new NIL. That whole I almost said it. That whole joke, this clearinghouse that they brought up. They're just gonna rubber stamp them. Come on, you can't start taking money from kids like that. And all of a sudden, the kid's supposed to make $500,000. Now he's gonna make $100,000. Yeah. It's the same thing. It's the exact same thing for the conference realignment. It's not about what's best for the game. It's what's best for the money. It's look at what's happened with, the Rose Bowl is now 100% just corporate. Okay, so the whole playoff's going to be corporate. Everything is corporate, right? It's not what's best. You think USC, UCLA, Cal, Stanford, you think they went like, hey, I can't wait to play Miami every other year. It's not a rivalry. There's nothing there, but they got the most money. And so what whoever's running the Pac-12 deal is, we think the Texas State's going to produce more money long-term than Nevada. And I agree with you. I would take UNLV and Nevada before Texas State. You bring up a very good point. I will concede that. You're 100% right. But obviously, it doesn't help them money-wise.
And I don't even think they're really talking about Nevada. I think it was just kind of I don't think Nevada is an option at all here. I just think it was, hey, that just proves to some people's point that they're not really fired up about Texas State. If you're going to take Texas State, just take Nevada. But I mean, this is a long-term, I don't want to say gamble, but a long-term gamble / investment from the Pac-12. Because right now, yes, Texas State would not be on par with the rest of these schools, would not be, competitively and whatever, and, name recognition, brand, whatever. It's not
out here.
Not a team you'd like to, if you're going for that, you'd want the Memphis or the UNLV or one of those schools. But I think that if they're looking at, if they can't get Memphis and they can't get UNLV and they're having to look at all these other, choices, maybe they're going to, if they're getting I don't want to say tier 2 or B team choice at this point anyway, they're trying, they swung and missed at their first 3 or 4 choices. Well, then maybe they take the one that they think 5 to 10 years from now could end up being the best bet. And that's what I think they'd be doing when it comes to Texas State.
I would agree there. Yeah, I agree there. And I think also it comes to a point as how many Mount West teams do we want to bring over to this new conference, or do we need something fresh? And I think that you do.
Yeah, and they talked a lot about getting into Texas too. I mean, that's why I don't know if that's overblown or whatever. I mean, like you're saying with Rice and some of the North Texas, some of these schools, like there's getting into Texas and then there's getting into Texas, but it doesn't do anything for you. And that's why I originally wasn't fired up about Texas State or any of the Texas schools. Once you get below those schools, I just didn't see any of them being viable. But I mean, you tell me, I mean, if Texas State is in this league, is it easier for Boise State to recruit Texas? Saying,
it helps.
Game in Texas
it helps.
2 years.
Yeah, it helps because you're going into the state of Texas every other year.
And that really is a big selling point. That'd be the difference between a kid from Texas picking Boise State over another school.
Yeah, if he's going to go out of state. Because you can sit in the living room and tell mom and dad that may not have the funds to fly to Boise all the time, saying, hey.
Games, I mean, it's really 1 or 2 trips there. That's enough.
It's huge. Why do you think Colorado tried to get into play Hawaii every year? And Hawaii said no, because Colorado recruited Hawaii so hard. And they wanted to get Colorado on the island to tell, like, we're going to come and play here. It helps. It helps more than you think.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a huge deal. I mean, it's got to be. It's a big deal in recruiting.
I just find
we're going to come and play the state of Texas.
And you're in those rooms. You've sat there on the couch. You've talked to these parents, so you obviously know more than me. I just find it hard to believe a kid in a family is going to choose a school for 4, 5, 6 years based on a game or 2 being played a little closer to home.
If he's living in the state of Texas, you'd be surprised how many people in the state of Texas refuse to get on a plane. They just like, I'm not leaving the great state of Texas.
Okay.
So they're like, mom, grandma, grandpa, aunt, uncle, you're going to be able to see him play every other year. And to boot, Boise State's got a national television contract. So you're always going to see him on TV, and then you're going to be able to see him live.
And we did talk about this last time, but the July 1st kind of deadline with all the buyouts and things like that is what's spurning this kind of action here these couple of weeks, because July 1st, Texas State is involved. It is part of that with their buyout. Brad goes from $5 million to $10 million. Telling the Sun Belt that they would be leaving. If they tell the Sun Belt they're leaving before July 1st of this year, the buyout is $5 million. If they tell the Sun Belt after July 1st, it's $10 million. Now that's still, relatively speaking, small numbers, 5 and 10 compared to like Memphis is like 25 or whatever. The UNLVs of the world's 27 or something. I mean, 36. I mean, there's 5 or 10 is not a huge issue, but that's still $5 million, and that still matters. And if it's going to be, June 30th or July 1st, you'd rather make it June 30th if you can do that to save the $5 million. And it says in the article, nothing's done. It says the best way to explain the courtship is that the league is currently exploring making an offer in the upcoming weeks. Texas State has loomed for months as the favorite to join the league, was prominently discussed in the Pac-12's virtual meeting earlier this week. It's been the league's top target for months and is expected to have voting support as the league's presidents are enamored with a foothold in the state and Damp House's leadership there at Texas State. It's a booming as a university. The enrollment is more than 40,000, and it boasts a lot of tenants and football potential. Rich local talent base and a rising young coach, in Kinney at the helm. It says that they won't vote on Texas State until they're ready for the process to unfold in rapid fire succession. That's expected to come before July 1st. Texas State turned down a verbal offer from the Mountain West last fall, which athletic director Don Coryell called preliminary discussions with an interested conference. But he did say the Mountain West offered. To me, that makes some sense. Texas State and the Mountain West, we'll find out. But I again, maybe I'm going to be eating my words here pretty quickly, and they're going to be awesome. But when I think Texas State, I would think that they're more of a Mountain West level team than a Pac-12 level team. But it says if it process unfolds as expected, they'd be the league's 9th member overall, 8th football member. And it says part of the feeling of inevitability that it's got to happen is the invitation is that it's a necessity. They have to get another member at least to be 8. And it says they've been viewed as the best readily available option for that spot. So we talked about it. There's just not a lot of great options at this point. I still wonder if this is I personally am trying to think about this. What do you think, Brad, in terms of Memphis? You mentioned Memphis being in the picture, out of the picture. Last year, we remember the Memphis AD doing this weird press conference where he's like, hey, I'll still take their calls. My phone still works. We said no to this offer. We're not saying no, period. Like he wanted, a better offer from the Pac-12, basically is what he was saying. And so I wonder if this is whether it's UNLV, whether it's Memphis, whether it's somebody else. I wonder if any of this was leaked out publicly to get Memphis or UNLV or whoever else to be like, oh crap, if we wanted to, we might miss our chance here. They're about to take Texas State. We got to change our offer. Do you think there's any gamesmanship here in that fact that this leaked out to try to take one more shot at a Memphis or a UNLV or something?
I agree, but I don't think it's to replace Texas State. I think it's add a 9th.
Okay.
I literally think you're going to try. I think the Pac-12 is going to try to snatch up as many schools as they possibly can, because we don't know what's going to happen in 2 years, right? So I think they're trying to get a bunch of these schools under contract. So now all of a sudden, let's say there's movement, and let's just go with the ACC. And Cal says, you know what? We're done. We're not doing this anymore. So now all of a sudden, Cal's going to come back and go, I want to go to the Pac-12. Okay. So now all of a sudden, the Pac-12 has Memphis, and the ACC is going, no, we want Memphis. Perfect. We want your $30 million, and then you can leave. So if you lock them into a contract, and in 2 years everything blows up again, which it's bound to happen, because I think a lot of these schools rushed to the money and didn't put in geographically, not football, we've talked about that, but other sports. And then, hey, wait a minute, we got Memphis under contract. And not only that, you're going to owe us $30 million if you leave. So let's snatch him up into a contract. Let's get it done. And then if something happens in the future, great. We'd love to take Stanford and Cal. You can have Memphis, and we'll have your $30 million. I mean, there's a lot. That's just good business if you can see it. I don't think if this far down the road, I find it hard to believe that the Pac-12 committee would turn around and screw Texas State to take Memphis. I think you add them. You don't replace them. I think Texas State's, it's a done deal. I mean, right, wrong, yet to be determined. I said it before. I'll say it again. It's a good town. Stadium is not big. It's a really great place to go visit, to have a good weekend, to watch Boise State beat the ever-living tar out of Texas State, because that's what's going to happen. That's my true feeling. Now, Texas State's growing. They're redoing their facilities. I just saw that. But they're competitive. That head coach has done a good job. Can they hold on to him? I don't. That's the thing about – and you brought this up months ago, BJ. You brought it months ago. Is can Texas State hold on to a premier G5 coach? I don't think they can. They don't have that money. So you brought up that point too, and I know we're going to talk about something later, but I don't know. It's a little bit of a revolving door. So Mountain West.
With basketball, it's like St. Mary's for basketball. When they're getting talked about this, St. Mary's great basketball program, but Randy Bennett has been there and done this all himself for a really long time. And it's like if Randy Bennett leaves, like I think Gonzaga's at the point where if Mark Few retires, or leaves, like Gonzaga has gotten to the point with their facilities and their money, like Gonzaga will keep it rolling. But
they're a premier basketball school.
I understand that, but the case. A lot of people said, "Oh, if Mark Few leaves, does Gonzaga just become an average team again?" And right now, St. Mary's is kind of in that boat where they've had some great runs. They're in the tournament every year. They're a very solid program. But Randy Bennett has single-handedly done that himself. And he's a little bit older coach. Like whenever he leaves, is St. Mary's just going to go back to being an average basketball program, or will they continue to be a mid-major power? And that's why a lot of people don't want St. Mary's. They were also talked about joining, as a basketball only type school, because and strengthen the basketball side of the league. And the argument was, is St. Mary's success sustainable without Randy Bennett? And you wonder at Texas State, is that sustainable if Kenny were to leave in a year or two? And I know they just gave him a new contract, but as you know, I mean, that means he's here for this year. It doesn't mean anything beyond that. And so, but maybe the Pac-12 and maybe they get more resources and he's, Spencer Danielson-esque, or he just wants to stay there and likes it and doesn't have any reason to leave. But I do think that's a concern as well. But we should clarify, Brad, I know you know this, but if folks are just listening to this for the first time or don't understand how it works, they have to have 8. So they actually only need 1. They only have to get 1 more for the NCAA to sanction them as a conference and give them money and all that kind of stuff and have some voting rights and things like that. You have to have 8 football member playing schools, 8 football schools. But they already have 8 with Gonzaga, total members. They only have 7 footballs. They need to add at least 1 football playing school. But in a perfect world, you would add 2 for scheduling purposes because you would have 9 teams, which would mean you'd have 8 conference games and you would play everybody one time. So you could have 8 teams and play 7 conference games and 5 non-conference games if you wanted to. That is possible. But I think most schools are now, some are even going to 9 conference games now, but the number you probably want to play is at least 8. So for that to happen, you would have to add 1 more. So Texas State plus 1 theoretically. And we talked about it last week, Brad, when this first came out, like maybe you take Texas State for all schools and you're able to still get, a Memphis for basketball and football or something like that. Maybe Memphis doesn't want to have their volleyball and cross country and track and field teams and soccer teams fly all the way to Pullman, Washington, or Corvallis, Oregon, or Fresno. But they're willing to have the football and basketball teams do it, on charter flights. And so maybe you're able to convince, and I hate that, by the way, like that's just so dumb. Like to have schools not being in one conference for one sport, conference for the other. I get it. I know it's happening, but it just, I don't know. That just seems weird to me. You're going to have different schools with their different teams within your own program with different logos on their chests for the conference. I mean, I don't know. It's just weird. Like, but it is what it is. I mean,
Boise did it.
I know that they were at the wrestling program, or somebody was in the Big 12 or some other program, the
Pac-12 wrestling and
swimming and diving, or somebody, no, not swimming, but there was some other sport that was in a different conference, and maybe wrestling at some point was in the Pac-12 and they were, I don't know. But I don't know. If your league doesn't sponsor the sport, I get it. Like Boise State beach volleyball's in the Southland Conference. It's the weirdest thing ever. But like you need a conference. You want to have a chance to get that auto bid. Like I get it. Mountain West doesn't have beach volleyball. Like, I don't care about that. But just to take the money grab for football and basketball, to put them in one conference and have to put that was going to happen, right? For Boise State with the Big East. They were going to join the Big East for football. And go down to the Big West for all the other sports, and it was just going to be a downgrade at that point from the Mountain West to the Big West for basketball and everything else, just so the football team could go play in the Big East and get more money. So that's another argument for another day. But so you don't think this leaking out has anything to do with somebody jumping and taking Texas State's spot? You think if it's this far down the line and if all this is being said, you think it's pretty much done deal? Get used to it, Boise State fans. Start ripping your head around it. I need to get on board with it. It's happening. Texas State's going to join.
I do. I just think that there's so much detail in the article, unless he doesn't know what he's talking about, or he talked to somebody that is spouting off way too much. But them stating that they've been going after Texas State for months and they've been number 1 for months and all that, you're going to say all that, and then it's going to come back and bite you in the butt. But I don't know. They could be lying. I just don't. if they're sitting, if they're sitting in meetings saying, "Hey, we're grabbing Texas State, but we want you to become a ninth football member," and here's some of the numbers. Now that we've added, let's say we've added Texas State, here's some of the numbers that we're going to think we're going to be getting in to divulge back to the universities. Could that spike interest in the ninth school? So for football and basketball only, you just use Memphis for example, right? So that may help just because of monetarily numbers wise and what the television contract's going to look like and things like that, because the most money to these schools is the most important with the whole new lawsuit coming out and paying kids. You got $22 million to pay them and the school pays them. The most money you can get to the school is what's important. And so now Memphis can come back and, okay, well, the American's going to pay us this. The new PAC's going to pay us this. Why wouldn't we go? So now we're going to make an extra $4 or $5 million a year. That's going to help us with our bottom line now that we have to pay all these student athletes. So hopefully maybe that's happening, but I just don't see Texas State not getting in now, but I've been wrong in the past.
Yeah, and like I said, it does seem like we probably need to just brace for this, but is there any chance, Brad, that they want, like this happens sometimes where you're not sure about something and you leak it to see what the public perception is going to be, and if everyone hates it, you change your mind, but if they love it, then you go forward it, or you try to brace them for the fact that it's probably happening or whatever. I mean, there's a reason this leaked out. There's not just some guy.
Right.
I mean, there's somebody told Pete Thamel at ESPN this for some reason. Obviously, they like Pete Thamel, but they're not just. It's been pretty quiet on this front, to be honest. There's been very little talk about the Pac-12 and who they're going to add, and it's been the TV deal. I mean, it's been quiet for like 6 months here, Brad. It's been really weird. And so the fact that this comes out now, and maybe this is me because I don't really want Texas State trying to like come up with conspiracy theories or whatever and hope that they're all true so they don't get Texas State. But I just wonder if this was, well, Texas State really wants to come. We're not sure if we want them. What's everybody think? Let's leak this out there and see what the public perception is. And if everyone hates it, then they double back. Like I said, maybe it's Memphis all of a sudden going, oh crap, we can't let them take our spot. Or maybe it's more UNLV, because UNLV would be for all sports probably, saying like, all right, well, maybe we need to, we don't want Texas State taking our spot. We got to, accept that lower offer now, or we're going to, or we're done. Or I don't know. I just wonder if there's some ulterior motive to this for the fact that it leaked out the way it did.
I haven't thought about that. I mean, they've done that with head football coaching hirings, and then everybody backtracked and they said, well, no, wait a minute. We didn't hire him. We were going another direction. Eli
Drinkwitz ended up at Missouri. They were going to take Blake Anderson from Arkansas State, and then it leaked out, and there was so much backlash that the board rejected him as the candidate, and they had to go hire Drinkwitz.
Right. So, I mean, yeah, you could be right. It's a good way of thinking about it. But I just don't – I don't know. My point, somebody has to know within the television contract. So if I'm sitting and I'm chairman of Fox or wherever this TV contract is going to go with, it's Fox, right? Isn't that what they're talking about, Fox?
I mean, ESPN. No, I think ESPN is going to be involved a little bit again. There's the report last week said 3 to 4 networks. Like it's going to be spread out multiple networks.
So let's talk about that. If I'm one of those chairmen, I'm on the board or I'm head of whatever, I had better know the schools. You can't come to me and say, hey, we think we're going to get Texas State, but we're really going to say we're going to put out Texas State, but try to get somebody else. I'm going to be like, no, wait a minute here now. Why am I going to throw all this money in there when I don't even know the teams that you're going to bring into the conference? And now you're asking for this money revenue. So it's like, okay, with Texas State, you got this. If you add Memphis upon it, we're willing to shell out a lot more. Right. And so
that's all probably happened privately. I don't think they needed to leak Texas State for the TV execs. I'm pretty sure the TV execs know who they're talking.
Right. But that's why I'm saying that they're so comfortable to leak this out now, is because they think they're in, because they've told these television markets, like, okay, we're going to add Texas State. They're going to be 8 on football. So you don't have to worry about the NCAA anymore. And then now, what are you willing to pony up if we go after Memphis? So now we got 8. Well, let's go get 9. And are you willing to shell out another $12 million to go get Memphis in football and basketball, because that's what we need to get them? And so now, okay, now you can go back to the universities that you want the 9th to say, hey, if you come, these Fox, ESPN, CW, whatever is coming. They're willing to give us this. So what do you think? Yeah, if we can get an extra $7 million, absolutely. I'm open to it. I just don't know if I agree with you. The timing's strange, but it's also not strange knowing that it has to be done by July 1st. And we're sitting here on the 16th, and all of a sudden now you can't exactly tell Texas State, hey, we're going to get you at $5 million buyout. And then we're going to mess around with you. And then July 2nd, and then the 19 they thought they're going to get blew up. Now you're going to go back to Texas State and go, oh, by the way, now it's $10 million.
We'll pay your extra $5 million or whatever because we screwed up.
Right. So there's a lot of buyout money coming out that's going to end up in a lawsuit or something else. And then the Sun Belts come out and they're already trying to get Louisiana Lafayette. No. Yeah, Sun Belt's already come out and said we've already targeted a team. So the Sun Belt's known this is going on a long time. So there's a ripple effect here. And so I don't know. I think it's going to be Texas State, and I just hope to get a 9.
Yeah, Louisiana Tech is the school that would be going to the Sun Belt there if that were to happen, it looks like. But we do have a poll up on YouTube. If you're watching this on YouTube, Brad, I put up a poll about 12 minutes ago. We've already got 55 votes. It just says, if Texas State joins the Pac-12, how would you feel? Awesome. It's fine. Don't care. Not happy. Those are your 4 choices. Awesome. That's fine. Don't care. Not happy. Tried to kind of have the good, the bad, don't really care in there. You can get on the YouTube channel. We'll give you the results of that poll so far here in 30 seconds.
Bronco Nation News is presented by our title sponsor, RovePaint.com. Our major sponsors, Idaho Central Credit Union, Taco Bell, Lithia Ford, the Blue and Orange Store, Jackson's, and our contributing sponsors, Signature Roofing, Western Collective, Snake River Pool and Spa, Transportation Compliance Service, Boucher Real Estate, Ridley's Family Markets, Circa Las Vegas, Lean Feast, and Timberstone Golf Course.
All right, Brad, I know your time is limited. I asked you for 30 minutes here, so I just want to get your thoughts real quick on this poll, and I'll let you roll. 13% say awesome. If Texas State joins, 13% said they would be perfectly happy with it. It'd be awesome. 56% say, it's fine. 5% don't care, and 24% are not happy right now. So 14 plus 55, you're at about almost 70% that say that call it a positive move, basically, to take them. 5% don't care, and now 26% right now, 1 in every 4 basically of the 66 votes are not happy. I as we've talked about, you would suspect Texas State on the surface is not, you would at least concede it's probably a move that's not going to fire up a ton of people. Not necessarily the good move or bad move, but saying Texas, you see the headline, it's official, Texas State joining the Pac-12. You're not going to have a lot of fans in Boise, Idaho, or whatever, like celebrating the addition. It may prove to be a positive addition. Money-wise, it may be the best decision, but name recognition, brand, excitement for coming to the blue, whatever, it's not a move that's you would at least concede it's not a move that's going to necessarily fire up people that they're joining the Pac-12.
Completely, I 100% understand about that. I understand that. I'll go back to it. I'd rather see them than somebody. I saw somebody on Twitter the other day. I'd rather have New Mexico. Well, that person's smoking dope. I just don't. I don't know. I think it's something new. It's a new breath. It's a new conference. I do completely understand your earlier point about Nevada and the rivalries. I do. I think that is
happening, by the way. I just threw out Nevada as an option. There's zero talk that Nevada is actually being considered. So I don't want anyone thinking that might actually happen.
Right.
In general, Texas State or Nevada, who would you like more? But I think that proves the point that since Nevada is not even being talked about here, it is what it is.
I wonder the other school that probably, the other Texas school that got early play but kind of fizzled was UTSA.
Well, aren't they? Didn't the Mountain West add them?
I have no idea. I was just trying to think of Texas schools.
They added somebody in Texas, UTSA, or maybe it was Arlington. Oh, UTSA. That's San Antonio. Yeah.
Yeah.
What's the
Texas?
I don't know.
Well, there's Rice, UTSA.
Some Texas schools going to the Mountain West. I forget which one it is.
But, it is what it is. I mean, I think you got to get behind it eventually and enjoy San Marcos when they get the opportunity to play there if that happens. I mean, it is what it is.
Oh, UTEP. UTEP's going to the Mountain West.
UTEP for me is in the same exact sentence as Colorado State. Their ass. Don't even bring them in. Don't even talk about it. They're and you don't want to go to a game in El Paso.
The former Big 12 commissioner said he would add UTSA. So I guess he's talking about for the Pac-12. That's if he was being consulting. He thought they made some sense. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, UTSA was very competitive, and their head coach stuck around, made that commitment, but they've kind of fallen off a little bit. He's done a great job. They play in the Alamo Bowl. They're trying to get a new stadium. There's a lot of things. I think UTSA is really trying to throw a lot of money into that football program. Basketball doesn't make sense. Do they have a basketball team, BJ? I don't know.
Well, that's what you were saying about New Mexico. Like, I get it. New Mexico is not exciting at all, but the one thing New Mexico has is the pit, and they have a strong basketball program, and they have a sellout crowd, and they have, when you're Boise State basketball or Mountain West basketball in general, and you see, like, that's a game on your schedule, you circle when you're going to the pit to play at New Mexico. So at least in one of your two main sports, you have a marquee game at New Mexico. And I don't know when you see Texas State on the schedule if you're circling that. But again, I know basketball really has 0.1% say in this.
Yeah, I would agree with you there. If it's basketball with San Diego State, Boise State, New Mexico, Gonzaga, St. Mary's, it's now a basketball conference, not a football conference. That's a fact. If you add in New Mexico, it's a basketball conference.
And they have a new coach too, so who knows if they're going to take some time to get back to where they were. But I mean, they've obviously been rolling. And there was some thought though, Brad, that's what they should do. Just you can't get who you want for football. So for the time being, because remember, this is I know these rights deals are what they are, Brad, but like in 3 or 5 years, there's going to be more conference realignment, more stuff happening. Like you're not adding these teams for the next 30 years here. It's just kind of a short-term thing. So that's why some people are saying like, yeah, make it a strong basketball conference, get as much money as you can, and then see what other schools are out there in 3 to 5 years. I mean, that's why some people say maybe a Texas State type thing, like you don't need to gamble on that right now. Wait, make them actually invest, make them actually do that stuff that they say they're going to do. And then in 3 or 5 years, add them. I don't know.
Sure. What's going to, 3 to 5 years, SEC and the Big Ten branch off. They're no longer a part of anything. And we go to geographical conferences. That's the smartest thing they can do. Now you're going to have Washington State, Oregon State, Boise State, USC, UCLA, Arizona State. You want to talk about a conference?
Cal and Stanford talk in the chat here. Bring Cal and Stanford back to the Pac-12.
You got to figure. Then I agree. I'm 100% behind that. But you got to figure out what the lawsuit's going to do with Clemson and Florida State. Yeah. That's a big thing.
I think that's a big thing. We talked about some mediation for that. I think that's not an issue anymore.
Well, then Stanford and Cal are going to be locked in until they feel that they can get out. And the problem is right now when they sign that ACC conference contract, I mean, it's a little bit signing with the devil. I mean, the Pac-12 can't afford a buyout like that right now. I mean, that's the situation. That's why I said earlier, go snatch up Memphis to get them under contract and lose them in 3 years, but collect $30 million. And then it's just going to help the schools are going to stay in the conference. In 3 or 5 years, if the SEC and the Big Ten keep on talking and they want to branch out on their own, and all of a sudden now you're going to get the ACC to follow them, you're going to have to go back to something geographical. It's going to have to happen. But we don't know. So right now, I mean, you can complain about
an article last week called it the Texas two-step, where they were talking about Texas State, but also North Texas maybe, or another Texas school as the secondary school. Would you, if they're going to take the Texas State, would you hope that the other 9th member is a football, basketball only for Memphis or somebody like that? Or if they just go all in on Texas with another Texas school, how would you feel about that?
I don't like that. Not North Texas. I mean, they went to, their stadium's nice. It's in Arlington or Denton, Texas. I'm sorry. It just doesn't do it. I mean, the mean green. I mean, come on. Everything about them just doesn't add up to me. They just don't. I don't think they have the support a Texas State does, because Texas State, I mean, 40,000 kids, it's a big school. It's not as much as of a commuter school than in North Texas. So I think it's got a little bit more of a college town feel to it than in North Texas. And Rice, please don't bring in UTEP. That would be a kiss of death. For a conference that's trying to get an automatic bid. Now, Texas State doesn't help them with an automatic bid. I 100% agree with that. That doesn't, you can't even have that conversation with it being 100% bid. And I know Memphis and UNLV, but UNLV's not coming in.
I understand that. This is kind of where I was. If they could have got Memphis and UNLV, you're like, all right, this is a really, really nice new conference. It looks great. He said we couldn't get those teams. We shouldn't have left the Mountain West. Now, I'm not going to go that far because if the Mountain West was only giving you $5 million, even if you're getting $8 million in the new, that's the other thing that came out in the story. The money is maybe not quite as high as some people thought it would be for the TV deal. It sounds like it may not be, but if you're getting $1 more than you were getting in the Mountain West, then you should have left, right? Like I don't know what I mean. In the Mountain West, if the whole goal was to get more money, you're getting more money. You're going to a conference at least with a name that's a little more prestigious and carries a little more weight. But I don't. As long as it's $20 more, $50 more, $100 more, like, and it sounds like it's still going to be $2 or $3 million more. Like I know that wasn't the jump some people wanted, but the new conference still, by and large, is going to be better than the Pac-12 was, and you're getting a little more money. I don't know if I totally buy that, but I do think that they could have had a home run with this thing with Memphis, UNLV, made it a legit, obvious, clear top, group of whatever conference. And when you're kind of getting to the end here and you're I kind of felt that way with Utah State. They were trying to get UNLV and all and then at the last second you find out you're doing pretty good. And then it's like, wait, Utah State's coming in. Like they're okay, but is that really the sexy name you were hoping to get when you did this thing? And then now when it's getting down to the Texas States of the world, the bottom of this conference could have really, the last team or two they're adding could really change the perception of this conference. And that's why where I'm kind of at. And I think some people are at where it's like, you could have had Memphis and UNLV. Sure. Texas State's fine. Maybe we'll gamble on them in 5 years, but this thing would have looked, at least publicly and kind of from sex appeal, a lot better with a UNLV or a Memphis over a Texas State.
I would agree with you, but I think 2 years, see long term as well. It's not just things short term right now because you got to play the conference. Go long term. The traditionalists at Oregon State, Washington State, Cal, Stanford, some of the teams that they think they got a shot to get back, those teams are not going to come back to a Mountain West conference. They're going to come back to the Pac-12 conference. It's a traditionalist side of football, right? And I know the Rose Bowl and all that stuff's kind of going a little bit by the wayside, but it's the traditionalist. Stanford and the elitists at Stanford will not come back to a Mountain West. Stanford thought they were a $30 million team. They're not, right? But they'll come back to the Pac.
Either, right?
Huh?
They don't even want to be in there with Fresno State.
No, they're elite. It's just that they're a traditionalist. But they'll come back to the Pac with Washington State, Boise, and they're going to be forced to do something if they're tired of spending the bills. And Stanford's got more money than anybody else. It's the Cal. Cal's in the California state school system. I mean, they don't have a lot of money. So it's going to be interesting long term. Short term, we just have to deal with this. Make it competitive, make it attractive to teams that want to come back when this whole realignment gets shuffled up again in 2 years, 3 years.
Well, it's going to be fun to watch. Last minute having you come on, Brad. I really appreciate you giving up your time this morning, and we'll make sure we add.
Go over that. Hold on. Let's talk. I know you got time. Go over your top 5 group of 5 coaches.
No, I'm going to save that for tomorrow.
Okay.
Give me yours though. We're going to have the big discussion tomorrow. But if you did some research and you got them, what do you got?
Okay. Just overall.
This was our question, by the way, our 25 questions looking at the football team. Our question today was supposed to be with Mike Prater. Is Spencer Danielson already the top group of 5 coach? I wanted to give it more than 5 or 10 minutes. So we'll do the full discussion on that with Jay Tuss tomorrow. What do you got?
For me, and I love Spence, and Spence knows I love Spence. He is not. I think the number 1 guy's at Liberty, 52-11.
Is that Chatwell?
Yeah, Jamie Chatwell. Okay, number 2 I'm going with John Summerall at Tulane at 32-9, all the way going back to Troy. There, I'm going through. I'm going to go Spence at 3. And the only reason why Spence isn't number 1 is because Spence is coming off of only 1 year as the head coach. That's the only reason I put him at 3. Then you got Monken at 4. Okay. And then my last one, and I think he's done a hell of a job. It's kind of been up and down a little bit, is I'm a huge fan of Troy Calhoun at Air Force.
Okay.
And he was the offensive coordinator when I played at Houston. So I'm a little bit sensitive because I really like the guy and I know him a lot more. So that's why I put him at 5.
What about
that's a little bit from my heart.
That's fine. That's fine. What about Dan Mullen now that he's at UNLV? He's a group of 5 coach.
Just because you go into UNLV and you've coached at Mississippi State and Florida doesn't mean you deserve to be in the top 5.
Okay.
I don't agree with that. And I've heard some things like he's number 1 now. He just because of what he did at Florida. What did he do at Florida? I mean,
well, you mentioned Chad.
He went to New Year's games. And I get all that, but just because he jumps into UNLV makes him in the top 5. I think Spencer Danielson's a better football coach right now than Dan Mullen.
Yeah. Well, I would agree with that. Chadwell, as you said, went Coastal Carolina to Liberty, took Liberty to the Fiesta Bowl in his first year there. Obviously doing big things there. You mentioned Troy Calhoun, Jeff Monken, also 2 interesting guys, but John Summerall, like you said, meteoric rise is what Nathan Carroll called it. Went to Troy in 2022. Chip Lindsey had just gone 15-19 the 3 previous seasons there. He goes 12-2 in the first year, wins the Sun Belt, gets him into the top 25, first time in program history. Does it again, 11-2 in 2023, and then gets hired by Tulane, 9-4 or 9-5 in his first year, makes the AAC championship game. And he said, well, he doesn't have the doesn't got into the playoff, but he's gone 32-9 at places harder to win than Boise State. And Tulane is poised to battle Boise State for that group of 5 spot this year. So very interesting. Yeah, very interesting there. But certainly Spencer Danielson is in the conversation, in the discussion. You can make an argument for him, which is still saying something for how young he is and how new he is as a head coach.
There's no doubt. I just think if we were next year when Boise goes back to the playoff, make Spencer 1. It's just hard to. It's like Dan Mullen. I'm not going to give Dan Mullen a top 5 because Dan Mullen, just because he's where he's coached, he's top 5. It's hard to put Spence at 1 coming off for a year and a half as a head football coach, where some of the other guys have bigger resumes and better, better records at different spots. So that's why I put that the way I did. But Spence will be 1 after they go back to the playoff next year, and then that's why that's the only reason why I did it. Is now I think overall staff wise, I think Boise's got a better overall staff than all of them.
Sure,
but,
no doubt.
That's where I was at.
Well, we'll discuss that further tomorrow with Jay Tust on Bronco Nation News Live here. But Brad, appreciate you on short notice jumping on. Thank you so much for this. Yeah. Thank you to all the folks for the comments in the chat and for answering the poll. We do this every weekday. If you're just joining us because you Googled or YouTubed Pac-12 or realignment or anything and you're finding us for the first time, we talk Boise State, Mountain West, Pac-12, college football in general every weekday morning, 9 a.m. Mountain Time live here on Bronco Nation News with a variety of co-hosts. And we have pre- and post-game shows for Boise State as well. So check out BroncoNationNews.com. You can read all of our articles on this series. And as we count down the days here, our Countdown to Camp series, getting you ready for Mountain West Media Days in about a month. And then the start of fall camp, which will be in late July this year due to the season opening in late August down there at South Florida. So come on back tomorrow at 9 a.m. We'll do this again. We'll keep you up to date on all the realignment and Pac-12 news that's happening here. And we're now at the point, Brad, where it's back to crazy season where folks like me are having to refresh Twitter every 5 minutes so we don't miss something, because news could break, literally at any point now for any of this. So should be interesting to see what happens, and we'll see by next time you join us if there's any updates or not. But thanks to Brad, as always, for jumping on. Thanks to you guys for watching. Thanks to all of our sponsors. Sorry I didn't get the detailed reads in today. Kind of a crazy day, but you know that I appreciate you all. And folks, please, please, please go support the sponsors, and many of which you see behind me, and they keep this show free of charge for you to watch and give you entertainment for an hour each day. So support the sponsors. Have a great rest of your day. We'll let you know if something breaks, and otherwise we'll see you at 9 a.m. tomorrow. Bronco Nation News live here at BroncoNationNews.com. Have a good day, everybody.
Bronco Nation News is presented by our title sponsor, RowPaint.com. Our major sponsors, Idaho Central Credit Union, Taco Bell, Lithia Ford, the Blue and Orange Store, Jackson's, and our contributing sponsors, Signature Roofing, Western Collective, Snake River Pool and Spa, Transportation Compliance Service, Boucher Real Estate, Ridley's Family Markets, Circa Las Vegas, Lean Feast, and Timberstone Golf Course.